Genshin Impact has needed some quality of life updates for quite a while now, and two of the most infamous ones are toggleable Constellations, goddamn C6 Bennett, and Artifact Stat Re-rolling. These two are infamous, everyone knows about these, but I'll leave these two to the end of the video where I'll talk about them a bit more. But for now, I want to get into some that I've thought up recently, and as well some that I've been saying for quite a while, and I want to start off with talking about mounts. Now, I've been talking about mounts since about the announcement of Inazuma, mainly because once you take into consideration how big the map of Teyvat will be by the end of the game, by whenever Snezhnaya is released, the map of Teyvat is going to be huge. The reason I want mounts to be added is because not everyone wants to go from waypoint to waypoint just doing commissions. Some people want to use a mount to go from, quickly from commission to commission, but still kind of explore the map, maybe alleviate the whole loading screen thing, and also just taking the map in a bit more of a quicker fashion, because Genshin is a rather slow exploration game. You don't do it extremely quickly, and I think a mount would add a bit more fun, speed, as well as kind of enjoyment of the whole map. Now, they could do that in a numerous amount of different ways. You can have a skill tree for the mounts. You can have just a speed mount where it's just movement. You can have different perks like double jumping, whatever. They can do so many different things. But as well, this could also be another monetization area for HOYOVERSE where they could give out, mount skins or just unique mounts through events, even in-shop purchases for mounts, where it's just cosmetics really. You can have horses, wolves, crabs, stingrays, whatever they want. Creativity is up to them, but I think it's a really, really cool idea. Now, the next few are kind of compiled into how the game works, kind of the coding essentially of the game, not really we experience as an item or something in the game, but it has to do with boss respawns. I think Genshin Impact is mostly a single player game. I don't know why the bosses don't respawn instantly or as soon as you refresh the area. It's kind of an annoying thing. For me, at least, I like to kill my bosses really quickly. I just want to farm out, let's say, 10 cryo flowers really quickly. So the boss not respawning when the game is technically single player, you can pause it when you're by yourself. So it not respawning instantly is kind of a weird thing in my mind. So I think just giving the option or something like that to allow it to respawn instantly, it would be cool, but it's not, that would change a lot of how the game works. So but this is just one of my little tidbits because I find it quite frustrating when I kill 7 bosses like within 2 minutes of each other, and then some of them haven't respawned. So a bit faster respawns on the bosses would be really cool. Mob drop chances. I don't know how Mihoyo has messed this up, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but Kairagi, compared to every single other enemy in the game, doesn't like to drop items. If you've killed Kairagi, or even Spectres are also contributors to this, if you've killed either of these two enemies, you've probably gotten 1 grey item from a pack of 4, and you've been utterly disappointed. But then you've gone and killed a GeoVishap hatchling, and you've gotten like 3 purples, 2 blues, and 9 greens. Or you've killed a black serpent in the chasm, and you've also gotten 5 purples, 3 blues, and 96 greens. So it's weird how the drop rate works for the enemies. I feel like some enemies just naturally have a lower one, which is unnecessary because right now, like, there are a lot more characters coming out more frequently that need the Kairagi. Because we're still Inazuma, a lot of Inazuma characters need the Kairagi. And for them to just have a naturally low drop rate is weird. This is not, I don't even know if this is really quality of life, but this is just a change in the system of the game that I would like to see, because it's an inconsistency that baffles my mind today, killing a GeoVishap hatchling and getting just 1 billion of its resource and having so much more than something like the Kairagi, which is a lot more lucrative and frequent, the actual enemy that is, a lot more frequent, but also just a lot lower drop rate on everything. Now, another settings thing they could do is give us more settings options. That's a pretty obvious one. HOYOVERSE has not given us many settings, and the biggest one that people talk about is obviously the FPS cap. You can obviously, I don't know if it's obvious rather, but you can uncap your FPS through some other means, but I don't do that, or I don't recommend it unless you know 100% certain it's safe. But HOYOVERSE needs to give a bit more in the settings department. Biggest one, FPS, uncap the FPS, or in some way give us different FPS options. That's a big one. People want to play it higher than 60. 60 is really not it anymore. 60 is kind of the past. But another few ones is keybinds. You don't have any keybind control in Genshin Impact, which is, for me, it's a bit of a iffy one. Some things I want to rebind, specifically like elemental vision. Nobody likes pressing the middle mouse button, let's be real. I don't think there's a single person in existence that has enjoyed pressing the middle mouse button. So being able to rebind a few of the keys to different buttons would be really nice. You know, a bit more creative gameplay, another one. But the combat targeting is the final point I have here, which, if to explain really quickly, if you've ever been playing something like a Venti or a Diluc and you press Q and your burst goes in a random ass direction, I would really think that this is a kind of a thing that you should be able to pick, but you can either toggle it on or off, or it's a bit of a setting thing, choose different options, where you can turn off the auto-targeting of your bursts, which to me sounds like a pretty obvious thing to have as a setting, but obviously, you know, Maho hasn't added it, but it's fine, it's fine. I would really appreciate it because I don't really like the idea of aiming my burst but then it going somewhere else because the auto-targeting takes it away. This is not a big one for most people because, well, most people think about their decisions a bit more than I do. I feel like the option doesn't harm anyone, but the non-option harms some. So get on it, HOYOVERSE. Add it. Come on, do it. Now, let's go on to the final two, the Constellation toggle. This is probably the biggest and most important one that people want to see as a quality of life thing, because, hey, listen, to sum it up, if you C60 or Bennett, you probably can't do any physical character ever anymore. If you want to run physical Eula, normal attack, you can't with a C6 Bennett. Physical Kaching, can't. Physical Razor, can't. No physical characters are doable with a C6 Bennett. And that sucks. That really does suck because Bennett is the biggest buffer in the game. So having the option to toggle it is literally would save a lot of people's mentalities that all regain at least 40% of their sanity that Genshin has taken away from them. And it would also add a lot more creativity, people being able to toggle on certain constellations for different builds. You know, you want to do a physical with Bennett, you toggle it off. You want to do a Pyro Hu Tao with Bennett C6, you toggle it on. You know, a bit more, you know, flexibility and creativity, which, you know, in my mind, sounds pretty good. And there are probably many more Constellation examples that take away certain features once you activate them. I don't know all the constellations, I don't really read constellations that much. You know, there's probably a few more that are massive game changers if you activate them versus if you don't. So this is a feature that people have been asking for a very, very long time. And the final one, Artifact Stat Re-rolling. Now this is one that also people have been asking for quite a while because the artifact system in Genshin, not that forgiving. Quite annoying actually. Nobody really enjoying it to begin with. It's really hard to get a good artifact in Genshin Impact. You know, some say it's a 1 in 1,000. I think it's a 1 in 4 trillion. But there are a few ways that they can change it. HOYOVERSE people have said many different examples. I'll name a few. You know, you get an artifact, you don't like one of the substats, you can re-roll it 3 times. Boom, that's pretty simple. Or you can even have it with the main stat, because there are some artifacts getting a main stat is a pain in the ass, but specifically the elemental bonuses, getting the correct elemental bonus on a specific artifact is like the rarest thing in the world. Getting Hydro on the Hydro set or something or rather similar means. So having a set amount of times that you can re-roll the artifact at level 0 to get the specific stat that you want, that's one way that they can do it. Another way is, I've seen this suggestion, is you level up an artifact all the way to 20 and you don't like the way that it is rolled, then you just reset the artifact to level 0. You don't get any of your resources back because you've invested them, so you just refresh the artifact to level 0, so you can then re-roll it to level 20 to see if it rolls into better stats. That's another way I've seen people kind of create a system around it, which is another great suggestion. Obviously, it has the redo factor that gives the player another chance at better rolls, but it has that deterring factor that you lose all the resources that you put into it, which in the end is not that many resources, really. Let's be realistic, you don't put that many resources into leveling it up. But there are a few other ways, obviously, that you can do it. I'm not that creative, so I can't think of many. But just anything at this point would make the community happy. Just any way to get some sort of re-rolling mentality, some sort of gambling mentality in there would be amazing. That has been all my little quality of life things. I think all of these are pretty important and would kind of make players feel a bit happier, or in some way, shape or form, with a few things. Maybe not the settings ones, but you know, a few of these would make the players fairly happy, and I would enjoy the game slightly more if some of these were in here. Thank you guys so much for watching, like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and see you next one. Peace out.